All right.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spinner Rack. This is Mars here, and I'm here with my boys, Petey and Cal. Say what's up, gents.
What's going on?
Hey, ready to rock.
Today we're talking about the final reckoning. That's right, Mission Impossible. You know, that hit movie that should have come out. What was it? Fallout that should have been a huge hit, but was overrun by Barbie and Oppenheimer.
They kept them out of IMAX. They wouldn't allow them to get the IMAX theaters.
So now we're hoping that this new movie coming out will be it. Let's see. Just check this trailer out. Selector, Yaman, drop it.
Our lives are not defined by any one action. Our lives are the sum of our choices. Everything you are, everything you've done has come to this. When the need for certainty is absolute and the odds are deemed impossible, the mission falls to him. Should he choose to accept? For every life you tried to save, you gambled millions more. And now the fate of every living soul on earth is your responsibility. That's the pattern, isn't it? You refuse to sacrifice the ones you hold close. You've always been on the right side, brother. I have no regrets. Neither should you. I need you to trust me one last time.
We trust you, Tom. We know it's going to be another good movie. What can I say? There's action, there's Tom Cruise, there's action. You know, they're wrapping up this final Mission Impossible movie. I mean, what else can we say? I'm going to pass this on to our Tom Cruise expert and Mission Impossible lover. Petey, please give us a little background on this and let's talk a little bit more about it.
No, it's the second part from Dead Reckoning. So they decided not to do the numbering. They're just going with a different name, Final Reckoning. In some areas they call it Final Reckoning 2, but it's the second part. It's Tom Cruise and Ethan Hunt and crew. The IMF are against the Entity and other foes from Ethan Hunt's past. But this one from the trailer is going to somehow tie into all of the stuff that's happened before. So in here, the Entity is in, I guess, somewhere near Russia, well down in the water, in icy waters, and they have to stop it before it decides to do more stuff like war games, like the movie War Games. So it's kind of a mix of the Mission Impossible versus the AI in War Games. If you remember that movie from the 80s.
Yeah,
but they have some new people in there, and they're hinting that we're going to lose somebody, or this will be the end of this whole. I mean, they've questioned the IMF the entire time. Every movie, they're questioned of their methods. So
even though their methods are successful every single time.
They always question them when things go left. They're like, oh, they're just masks, and then the masks usually work. The mask gag works. They always come up with a new thing for the mask gag. Even when the mask gag doesn't work at all. I think in the sixth one, the mask gag failed completely in the beginning, and they had to go with something new. So, so that's it. And they picked up some new, but the last one hinted that some of them, just like Luther, have come from questionable backgrounds, and possibly Ethan Hunt also. So and some of the people they picked up from the last movie, they have obviously some regular agents that are joining in to this, but they're gonna hint to how they find their what's the name? How they find a lot of their agents or people that are, like almost like a. I mean, that's what Tom Cruise was going for. Even though they weren't called the Suicide Squad, he wanted the mission to actually be impossible. Where in the first movie, people died. So and then it culled down the mission crew to like him and Luther at the end of the first one, and then it was him, Luther, and Dandy Newton. I don't remember her character, but then they, even though the second one was successful, they decided to do more of a crew again with the third one and the fourth one also. So so this one, it could be the end for the IMF, but it's always almost the end for the IMF, or it could be end for one of the characters. I think they might be pushing for, maybe passing on the thread of the Mission Impossible movies, but who knows? I mean, if it's successful, they can find, you can always come back. So that's what I think.
You think they might go for a different lead other than Tom Cruise? Is that what you're saying?
I feel from watching the first one, I don't think it doesn't make sense because they've been successful, and I think even though they had the struggles, they had the struggles of the second one because of the lack of theaters, but at the same time, like them saying you can't have the IMAX, which we're going to cut at least your U.S. money from it, so that's a considerable amount of money. So, but at the same time, the way the Dead Reckoning went. Even though it was Tom Cruise movie, the plot kind of revolved around the thief. So it was kind of like, this is kind of her origin story. So then I'm like, even if it probably isn't going to be as successful with anyone else, I think, it seems like Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie are the type of guys to ask that question. They're the type of guys to say, Tom is the type of guy to say, they probably, he said that in the fourth one, I'm not getting an injury where I can't go on missions anymore. Because I think that was the idea. And, he was like, no, that's not going to work for this. And then at the same time, they were like, yeah, makes sense. We can keep working with you, so that sort of thing. But I think Tom Cruise and Chris McQuarrie would ask the question, is this Ethan Hunt's last mission, to actually do it? Losing Elsa, and that sort of thing, and maybe is this his time to go? Just because of the way the plot went in Dead Reckoning, that it was kind of her origin story. I don't see her taking it over, and I think Ving Rhames will be there if they kill him, or be there if they don't kill him. He'll be there. He'll be okay with them killing him. He didn't know that he'd be in all these movies. He's been like, because I think the sixth one came. And the director was like, "Look, we got to get Luther out of the truck." And he was thinking, he was like, whatever. And then when he's out of the truck, he said, well, I got bad knees, so I can't be running around all the time. So, but he was just accepting whatever they gave him. So, but yeah, I feel, in my opinion, I feel they would ask that question. I don't think they should, but I think they would ask that question, is this the last one? So,
yeah. So Cal, what about you?
That's interesting. I mean, I'm on a different train of thought now after listening to Petey because, this is the last one. You would like the franchise to be successful enough where whether Tom Cruise is attached to it or not, because tomorrow's not promised to anyone, we can still make movies, still keep this going. But I thought the chance and the time for that was Ghost Protocol. And it was pretty clear because that one, they looked like they were trying to hand it off to Jeremy Renner. And, it was pretty clear in the film. That's what I think the whole thing was designed for, what was going to happen. But they looked at the numbers. They're like, no, people are not anywhere close to tired of you. We need to, keep this going. And we need you at the particular helm. So I'm really not sure how they do it. I mean, you definitely don't want this thing to stop because it's dependent on Tom. We don't want to see Tom Cruise in a wheelchair talking about mission accomplished. We don't want to see, we don't want to see that. But he's become so synonymous with this particular franchise. You wonder, how do you get where do you go? If he's not a part of it, where do you go from there? But those thoughts aside, I'm looking forward to seeing it. With the exception of, I guess I was the only person who didn't enjoy Mission Impossible 2 that much. I liked the first one with the setup, and then the second one was such a departure from that first one. Became Ethan Hunt and his amazing friends. I just was like, okay, but I've enjoyed all of them coming out. I mean, the third one I enjoyed. The fourth one I did not think I was going to enjoy as much as I did. I thought that would be like more of a swan song thing, and I wouldn't see it again. But I enjoyed it, and then everyone that's come out, I've enjoyed. The last one not doing as well as I predicted it would, but what can you do? How many times in life can you get stopped by both Barbie and Oppenheimer? So, how many times, especially after Top Gun did so well. Like Top Gun did as well as it did, but the proven franchise of Mission Impossible got stifled. I was like, wow, that just shows everything is upside down right now. But
we gotta go in. You made me go into conspiracy now. You didn't show up at the Oscars. They said we're torching your movie. We needed you at the Oscars for our money, and you said you're not going to show up. You said, no, I want to go home and make movies. I want to make movies for people. All right, that submarine you're sinking in there, we're sinking your movie. So just a sidebar, sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
may not be too far from the truth.
This movie series has made almost over $4 billion, right? Which is, I mean, you got to give it, that's quite a bit. But the last movie was the most expensive of the time, $290 million. And this current movie they're saying is going to cost $400 million with all the cost overruns and the delays, the strike and stuff like that.
In this pandemic, the pandemic is also the bigger issue.
I don't know how you get down to a regular number. I mean, they would have to double or triple the amount of money. And the most he's ever made off of this franchise is $786 million with Fallout, and now you're going to have to try to do double or triple that to come back. So it's tough to say, and maybe why he's like on a swan song and saying this may be it for the whole franchise.
Well, that's definitely possible. I also don't think I think this sort of franchise is really not as dependent on, hey, we need to have like a gangbusters showing at the theater, because they know they're going to make their money. They know they're going to make their money on the theater, on the rentals, on everything else, because of the staying power of this. So I can't see them throwing the money into the budget, not thinking, hey, we're going to be able to get this. It may just not be the strongest. I don't believe that they need an overwhelmingly strong showing at the theaters, in order to make their money back or to be profitable. I don't believe that with this particular franchise, especially when you have an understanding of how these things work. So that's one. But again, both of you guys have me coming back to the same thing. Is this a franchise that can continue and be successful without Tom Cruise at the helm? And if they decide, okay, we do want to make these changes, who's going to get called up to be the head person? Are they going to avoid certain pitfalls? Are they going to try to, let's quote unquote modernize it and make changes that come in that really have nothing to do with it, and call that inclusion and diversity? Or are they going to realize, hey, these things worked because they were very straightforward, straight-laced films without a whole bunch of this other stuff going on? There's a mission. There's going to be complications. We're going to be successful. This is just going to be spycraft at the end of the day, and we're not going to involve ourselves in any of the other things. And if that works, okay. And I think you could actually do something and be successful with it. I'm saying that, and then I'm getting ready to contradict myself in the same breath, because then I'm saying, okay, you're going to do this, but how do you get away from the fact that this has been successful primarily because Tom Cruise has been attached to it from start to finish? That is the bigger question. Great. I'm going to lose sleep over that one tonight. Thanks, guys.
They have Reacher. Hold on, they have Reacher and they have someone else in there, so they can do it. And
no. Mission Impossible is not Reacher.
They can do something. So that's number one.
No, we can see that. I can't, and I'm trying not to be adversarial with the whole thing. But that's an apples and orange comparison, and it's an apples and orange comparison.
But I'm saying the problem is you go back into Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible is more of a group thing, and he made it more just him. And it's very possible that we can go back to that. We're like, all right, if they do a different incarnation, all right, it's not necessarily going to be him, one person leading it, and maybe more dynamic thing where you have a group of people working for the Mission Impossible service and trying to get missions done, doing these impossible things and facing.
Is that what people, but okay, we've had how many films now? Is it 7 Mission Impossible films?
Yeah, 7.
It'll be the 8th one right now.
It'll be the 8th one, yeah.
Okay, so we've had 7 Mission Impossible films, and the audience overwhelmingly said, we don't care about a team effort. This guy, Ethan Hunt, is the reason why we're in the theater, and the other people are expendable. Okay, you can have a rotating cast. We're fine with that. But this dude right over here better be in these movies. That's a big part of why we're coming out.
That's different. We're saying we go to see these movies because it's Tom Cruise, right? Are you seeing it because of Ethan Hunt? I'm saying I see the movies because it's Tom Cruise and Tom.
But that's not what Cal was saying that too, though, right?
But we're not saying. But I'm saying the movie can be. You can make say, well, you know what? The franchise is really a group movie going forward. Tom Cruise isn't part of it, but we're going to take these are interesting characters, and we think this is going to be an interesting. Probably you won't have the gigantic budget that it once did, but I think it.
Look, I totally get what you're saying, and I'm not just trying to be contradictory or contrarian to that. But you've already established 7 films of a certain format, and your audience likes that format. It's working. Even from a business perspective, you're asking, like, well, wait a minute, you want us to just upend the working formula? Why would we do that?
A great example is the Bourne movie, right? They had Jeremy Renner again was going to be the new face of it, and they decided, no, well, people really associate Matt Damon with this particular role. Right?
Okay. It was over. That one was over. What they
that was a very good movie.
No, the first one was good. The third one was good. But the thing was, it wasn't a franchise. The first one was good. The second one was just
It's not a franchise after 3 movies, Petey. I think.
Well, I'm saying that the third one didn't capture anything, and then when Matt Damon came back, he still wasn't able to keep it going. So I'm saying it wasn't. Some movies.
I didn't like. I saw all 3. I saw all 3, and I didn't like any of them.
I like them.
Did you watch the 4th one, Jason Bourne?
Okay. At the risk of sounding really out of it, I didn't even know there was a 4th one.
I was okay with I really liked the 3rd one because he was just like an agent. But at the same time, that didn't do it. And going back to Mission, the 2nd one is the one people dislike, but it made like a ton of money until Fallout. Fallout has been the next one where you're like, wow, you guys are actually making more money now. But because the studio kept turning them and saying, well, if you guys can have some elements of 2 because people, that was our most successful one, and then they had Fallout. But at the same time, I'm going to go to the other side and say, since they did have less than stellar showing in the one before, now they're selling us on the end of the franchise thing. So it could be just the marketing and saying, and maybe put Luther down there, Tom Cruise close to death, which he's been close to death in many of these things. Maybe it's just a ploy to be like, hey, I'm just saying Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise has to turn off the action killer part of his head and think of the audience and say, you know what? The audience wants to laugh. The audience wants to, they don't want this character to go. But at the same time, when you see like Jack Reacher in the first movie, hitting his head and then, smashing someone's head in the ground, he's of like minds of that thing too. So I think at the same time, that insight is saying maybe he would let him go, but at the same time, since it was a poor showing, it could be that they're just selling you on, it's the last one, and be like the, Fast 10, the last fast, which is not going to be, there's no chance it's the last fast. Why would they stop?
The last fast for me.
But did you see the last fast? That's the question.
No.
So that's the thing. You already stopped. But I don't even know what's the last one. Actually, I can't say because I saw the freaking Hobbs and Shaw. You
saw Hobbs and Shaw?
I saw the friends of mine. We went to the movies to see Hobbs and Shaw.
No, that's some Coggy and Xavier stuff right there. I'm not seeing this movie. Yeah, I'll go to that movie just to gig on it.
They also had Vanessa Kirby somehow, brothers with Jason Statham. What an age gap to be siblings, and a sister to Jason Statham. And then you have but yeah, it was Lord. I think probably in the budget they had, we need everything split down the line, balance of power of action. If you give him one scene, I need one scene. And, but anyway, yeah.
And they're making another one. Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw's too. I'm like, good grief.
Oh man, that was so bad. Well, they can't go back to Hawaii again. They somehow
a lot of money. That's why it plays really well in Asia. Really well in Asia. So
when you see the scene where the helicopter, whatever it is lifting up the truck, and the truck he's gear shifting, and to get the truck to stay on the floor, I was like, yo, what is going on in this movie? It's not them going into space like the Fast and Furious, but I didn't see it to know that they actually went into space, but everyone said.
Well, no, that would be something. They drove the cars in space. They've driven everywhere else.
Okay, the go no go point. Then we hit the accelerators. We're hitting the no point. We made an entry. Oh no, it's getting hot in here. Turn. So I got what's the name? Dom. I think the way things are going now, I think The Rock is going to be. Well, you already said they're going to have that. So I thought they were doing another one already.
Are they going to do something together? I don't know. I mean,
I think so.
He wants it back in, but I don't know if they're going to do it. But I mean, these movies have been incredibly profitable. They made like $7.5 billion.
Yeah, that's why I was like, don't stop. Just keep doing it.
Yeah, they could. And
especially Fast.
The Fast 10, everybody criticized, was one of the biggest ones. I mean, you had bigger ones like Furious 7, The Fate of the Furious. Those are 1.5, 1.2. But, this was $700 million. Not exactly shabby at all in terms of what they did. It's a whole franchise there. I think that's his own episode that you're not ready to do today. Vin Diesel and Fast and Furious 11 reveals the franchise is going back to what made the franchise so great over the last 20 years. Yeah, right. This is going to be going on. So, like, remember when we used to say as a young kid, you're going to be like Rambo 27 and Rocky 19, something like. That's what he's doing. He's like, yo, I got this, and I'm running this to as far as I can go. Right? $7.5 billion. It's not a slouch, man.
Yeah. So I guess we're all going to be here for this one, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Mission Impossible, yes. Born Identity, no. Never again. No more.
I will. I love the Born Identity.
You like Jason Bourne?
I like Jason Bourne. I like Jeremy Renner. I still don't know why Jeremy Renner was such a bad one. I really liked it. I like Jeremy.
I understand what people saw in that franchise. I did not like any of them, and I still had to go see them.
Bourne.
Hey, man, what we doing? Oh, yeah, new Bourne. I'm like, no, I don't want to see it.
Well, what's the name? I think
that's on you. We're going to go see it.
Wow. I think I think Matt Damon felt that Jason Bourne was tougher than Batman. I said, way to make the movies. I think they think his character's like that, but he's supposed to be just like he every other agent only had one specialty, and Jason Bourne had every specialty.
It was ridiculous. When these guys were like, "Oh, you saw how he took on the dude and he beat him up with a magazine," I said, "That is preposterous." I said, "I'm tired of these movies where it's supposed to be all these elite spies. They all go to the same place. They all have the same training, and yet there's always just one guy, and this guy seems to be head and shoulders above everybody else." He was like, "Well, Jason, you were always our best agent." I was like, "Look at him. He's killing everybody else. He was your only agent. Nobody else got proper training."
Yeah. So, Mars.
Hey. So, if there's nothing else to say?
Spin a rack.
Spin a rack. Out.